Believe in Bigfoot, Dogman, any cryptid? Are you skeptical?
Curious about the supernatural, conspiracy theories, the unknown? Then come join us as we explore facts, tall tales, and encounters on Creatures and Curiosities.
Hello and welcome to Creatures and Curiosities. I'm David.
And I'm Jake.
And in this week's episode, we will be talking about the Loch Ness Monster and like creatures around the globe.
Everywhere.
Yeah. Before we get into it, how was your week?
It was good. Just been busy with work. And then, of course, once I get home, it's kid stuff and family stuff. Yeah, it's just...
It's the beauty of children.
It's go
There's
until
no rest for the weary.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's go until I lay down, but it's still go even when I lay down to go to sleep. So
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What about you? How was your trip?
Did some traveling.
Yeah,
went back to Nashville to watch Grace get her white coat ceremony.
So awesome,
becoming a doctor, and so a shout out to her. Good job, Grace, for all the hard work that you've done, and off to clinical assignments you go. And your friend Briley, good luck to her as well as she gets into her adventures of the world of medical practice.
It's awesome.
It was a lot of fun, a lot of great food in Nashville. A lot of the weather was nice. You know, it's getting cold here in Montana, and it was like in the 60s, 70s back there in Tennessee. So it was a nice break, get away from the horses and dogs and
you know what I realized
daily
now?
chores.
Yeah, gosh. You know what I realize now is now we're going to exploit her. Because now we could say, when we looked into this, we had a doctor review this.
That's right.
And she has concurred that it also is kind of cryptid.
So Grace, if you're listening, be prepared.
Yeah, will be exploited.
You will be exploited. So this is a cryptid that has been around for a while.
Yep.
It dates back to, believe it or not, the 7th century. It was one of the first sightings of the Loch Ness Monster. It was not a famous sighting, but there were writings about it, that there was some form of a monster in Loch Ness. It wasn't until later that, the popularity hit, and we'll get into that. But he's been around for a while. And I believe that the other creatures that are very similar in nature to Loch Ness Monster, they've been around for a long time as well.
Yeah.
None of them seem to date back as far as 7th century AD. Most of them were 1800s and later. But nonetheless, they're there. And there are some weird things about this particular cryptid. When we get into later explanations of what it could be,
which some of them are bogus.
And most of them are bogus. Yeah. In fact, this episode actually ticks me off probably the most, just what people are saying about it. And I just don't understand why people can't just say, the possibility certainly exists that there's some big creature in that lake. Then they just explain it off.
Yep.
And
smugly too.
As always. And some of them are just ridiculous that we'll get into. But we'll start with a description of the monster. He's affectionately known, or she actually, I think they think it's a she.
Which I don't know how they get that.
Believe it or not, I don't know, but it's always referred to as her for some reason. But anyway, whether it's a he, whether it's a she, who cares? It's affectionately known as Nessie for Loch Ness. And I'll say she. She's described as a large, long-necked creature with one or more humps on her back. She appears to have smooth, grayish or dark skin. And descriptions of her have varied over the years, with some describing her as being like a large body with flippers, which is similar to the plesiosaurus.
Yep.
Which I might add, they have ruled out that that's not what this creature is, believe it or not. I don't know how they come up with that. Again, I'll get into that a little bit later. But if she does have these flippers, it could be some variety of an older, prehistoric type animal. And then other people have described Nessie as being serpent or eel-like, slithering through the water with the notable humps.
Yeah, like a dragon or something.
Right. The size varies as well. Some people have described Nessie as being hundreds of feet long, which, that's you're drunk.
Yeah, exactly.
That's somebody out there that's higher than a kite or, is embellishing the story. I don't think it's hundreds of feet long, but the average description that most people come in with is that she is approximately 20 to 25 feet long and about 4 to 5 feet tall.
If it was out in the ocean, I'd buy it. If you're saying hundreds of feet.
Yeah, because we did see that big jellyfish looking thing.
Yeah.
That thing was 100 and some odd feet long, the tentacles hanging off of it. I don't even remember what that thing was called.
I just think of it like you would, if you get a fish tank with something in it. They would normally grow big, but you keep it in the fish tank, it's only going to grow as big as its environment will allow it.
Right.
You kind of like stunt its growth, essentially.
Yeah, and that makes perfect sense. I mean, it has to adapt to its environment. So the Loch Ness Monster, the reason it's called Loch Ness, obviously, is because it is in Lake Ness. And Lake Ness is located about 14 miles south of Inverness, which is in the Scottish Highlands. And it's one of the largest lakes in Scotland. Loch Ness is a freshwater lake, and it's fed by the River Ness, which actually, if you get into the lore of Nessie, the original sightings was in the river.
In the river, yeah.
And so they thought it was a river monster, like a river dragon or something of that nature. And they weren't sure exactly what it was. But that's where it was originally seen, was in the river. And it apparently has made its way into the lake. Of course, River Ness does feed Loch Ness, so it would make sense that, she was able to get in there. The whole lake is part of the Caledonian Canal, which is about a 60-mile waterway that connects east and west coasts of Scotland. The lake is 22 miles long, just under 2 miles wide, and 745 feet deep.
Yeah.
So it's so deep that they say that lake never freezes over, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And if you were to measure it by just the volume of water, Loch Ness is bigger than all of the lakes in all of England and Wales combined. So it's kind of like a perfect environment for this thing to live in.
That's why it's thriving down there.
It's thriving. As we get into some of the sightings and some of the explanations of what it could be and stuff, that's where you just start getting angry.
Yep. That's so bad too.
Because as we've talked about in pretty much every episode, there literally are many, many, many sightings, right? There's actually, in one thing that I read, it did say that there's thousands of sightings of it. And even though they're not all documented sightings, this is one where people literally just state, well, we were driving by and we saw it.
Yeah.
No picture taken, no accounting of date or time or, what they were doing or who they were or anything else. But so there's literally thousands of sightings of not only the Loch Ness Monster, but other similar creatures. So I wanted to kind of throw out the names of some of these other creatures, and this is by far not a list of all of them.
Right.
This is just ones that I think people will know the names of. So the ones that are like strikingly similar to Nessie are Champ. Champ's a big one.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So Champ is in Lake Champlain, which is, I think that thing's like, I don't even remember, 122 miles long or something. I mean, it's
ridiculous,
big, long lake, and it touches Vermont, New York, and it goes all the way up into Quebec. Or it actually, I guess you could say it starts in Quebec and comes down, the way the tributaries run into it. Champ's been seen several times, and of course there's photographs of Champ. There's sonar depictions of Champ.
Yeah.
One that I saw was a boat that had gone out, and it was specifically looking for Champ. And it was using sonar images, kind of like a fish finder, right? And it got a projection of this thing on the bottom of the lake, and you would swear it looks just like a dinosaur.
Yeah.
What came back is obvious. I mean, it's the Loch Ness Monster.
Yeah.
It's Champ. It's whatever these things are, whatever this creature is. There was no doubt that that's what it is.
Unless you talk to
Unless you speak to anybody that is a skeptic.
it's a formation of algae that's built up.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm so tired of all of that. But anyway, Champ, probably one of the most notable in the U.S.
Yep, definitely.
There's Mussy, which is in Muskrat Lake in Ontario, Canada. There's the Lake Tianchi monster, which is in Heaven Lake. That's in the mountain range of China and North Korea. There's Agopogo, which is in Okanagan Lake in British Columbia. There's the one that I'm familiar with, living in California. We used to vacation at Lake Tahoe all the time. That was my dad's favorite place to go.
Yeah.
So we went there every year for like 8 years in a row. That's basically all I knew as a kid was Lake Tahoe. And this one's name is Tahoe Tessie. That one has been seen multiple times as well. And there's photographs of Tahoe Tessie, kind of like the Loch Ness,
right?
That head up out of the water, etc. There's the Altamaha, or they call her Alti, and that's in the Altamaha River over in Georgia, which, again, getting into the whole river monster concept, if Loch Ness monster was originally in the River Ness, there's no reason why, we wouldn't have one in the rivers of Georgia.
Yeah.
Right? And it always reminds me of that TV show, River Monsters.
Oh, yeah,
I used to love watching that.
Yeah.
That guy caught some huge fish.
I was always jealous of that guy.
Oh,
his job was just go around the world and fish. Come on.
Unbelievable, right? Of course, he's catching these fish that have teeth the size.
Yeah, they eat people in the villages and stuff, but still.
It's pretty frightening stuff. But, I've never seen him catch anything. I mean, he's caught some good-sized catfish and whatnot.
Oh, yeah.
He's never caught anything in that range of one of these creatures.
Right.
I mean, you're looking at like a brontosaurus underwater.
Exactly, yeah.
Kind of, right? Because even the 20 to 25 foot long, some people have said it's much longer than that.
You almost wonder if it's getting so big in the river that it purposely goes to the lakes to then continue its life, I guess.
Yeah,
I don't know.
You would think that the food source is better in the lake.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, not that there aren't a lot of salmon and trout in rivers and streams, but the fish get bigger in the lakes.
Yeah, and
it's
if you're
like those huge lake trout,
20 foot plus, you don't want
you don't want a little snack.
7-inch, 7-inch brown trout or something.
I mean, we love those pan fish. When you're camping, they fit perfectly in a little pan.
Oh yeah,
and they taste delicious. But if you're a 25-foot monster, I want a 60-pound lake trout.
Exactly. Yeah.
There's the Bear Lake monster in Bear Lake, which is on the Utah-Idaho border, and then another not as famous as far as like the notoriety of the name.
Right.
I had never heard of this guy before, but the pictures are amazing.
They're great, yeah.
Raystown Ray, which is in Raystown Lake in Pennsylvania. And that photograph, in my opinion, kind of blows away the ones of Nessie and Tessie and
it's a phenomenal picture.
Yeah. Because you get to see a lot of the body.
Yep. Not just the head coming out.
Not just the head, but the head is there, and you can see it swimming through the water. It's an awesome photograph. Of course, according to some, it's just a piece of wood.
Oh, yeah. It's a seal. It's a 20-foot seal.
It's just so ridiculous. I mean, it's clearly a big creature of some sort, right?
Can't just accept it.
No, they can't.
Ticks me off.
So getting into the origin of just the Loch Ness monster. Okay, so we're gonna stick with Nessie for this purpose of the podcast.
Or it'll be a 10-hour episode.
It could be at least 10 hours, maybe longer.
Yeah.
I found so much stuff on just the ones that I just mentioned. There's enough information on those to maybe go 3, 4, 5 podcasts long about sightings, information, what people think, what tests have been done, how many expeditions or explorations have been done to specifically find the particular creature that they know is out there.
Yeah.
And then the evidence that comes back on them, in my opinion, I know I'm a nobody. I'm not a scientist or a doctor like Grace is.
Yeah.
I'm a nobody, but when they're showing you these different charts where they've done like the echolocation sonar stuff.
Exactly.
And it's printing out a perfect plesiosaur and they hear it, right? So these things, I read one study that said that they use echolocation. So under the water, they're sending out these little verbal signals, right?
Yeah.
To be able to, guide themselves as to where they're going in the water and the depths of the water and stuff. And they have recordings of it. So if you have recordings, you have sonar images, you have photographs, you have eyewitnesses, and then you're going to touch on a few sightings.
Right.
Where these things have followed boats and stuff, way under the water, then I'm sorry, but that's not algae.
Yeah.
It's not algae.
Or it's not a school of photoplankton or whatever that one said that it was. That for some reason perfectly matched a prehistoric dinosaur.
It's kind of like a marching band,
where
they
exactly.
spell something out on the field.
Right.
But we've got plankton down there that are, mimicking some type of prehistoric creature. But okay, so we'll get into the origin here of Nessie. Though there'd been like sightings of the Loch Ness Monster in as early as 7th century AD, it was actually brought to worldwide attention after Scotland's newspaper, which was called the Courier, published an article about this lake monster in 1933. And they were writing about a specific incident that occurred when George Spicer and his wife gave a personal account of witnessing this guy firsthand.
Right.
I found some discrepancy right out of the chute on this, and it was driving me crazy. And the more research I did, the more it just confused me. But all of the resources that I have found say that George and his wife saw this monster on July 22nd of 1933, and that the article was written in August of 1933. But I figured I wanted to read this article to myself,
right,
and see exactly what it had to say. And so when I pull up the article, the newspaper is dated May 2nd of 1933.
Which is frustrating.
Very frustrating, because then clearly the information we're getting is not 100% accurate.
Right.
If a copy of the newspaper article was written in May, then the sighting didn't occur in July, and the article wasn't written in August.
Right.
Unless it was a misprint in the paper. But it was clearly May 2nd, 1933, that the article was written, and it talked about the couple that saw this beast. And of course, it wasn't named Nessie then. It was a sea serpent or a beast or an unknown creature is how the article kind of described it. So anyway, let's throw the discrepancy aside. The article was written. The fact is that this guy and his wife saw this.
Which is all that really matters.
So that's what we'll talk about. Yeah. And we'll just have to chalk up the fact that somebody blew the dates or whatnot, because if you type in George Spicer's sighting, it's going to tell you it was in July on almost every site that I found. So anyway, we'll move on from that.
Those are one of those things that only we care about, and everyone else is like, we don't care about the dates,
yeah,
but we're like, no, it matters.
1933, but it does matter because if you want something to be accurate, make it accurate.
What? And if you want something to be credible, you got to start off credible.
Right.
So if you start off with incorrect dates and times, it's already like, well, are we supposed to believe this guy or not?
Yeah, it's already in question. But anyway, what ended up happening here is George Spicer and his wife said that they saw, and this is a quote, a most extraordinary form of animal. And it's crossing the road in front of their car. The creature had a large body, about 4 feet high, 25 feet long, and a long, wavy, narrow neck, which was slightly thicker than an elephant's trunk and about as long as the 10 to 12 foot width of roadway. The creature had no limbs, and it went across the road toward the lake about 20 yards away, leaving a trail of broken undergrowth in its wake. So it's kind of like, almost like slithering or lurching, across the roadways, the way it was kind of described. So Spicer says, quote, the nearest approach to a dragon or prehistoric animal that I have ever seen in my life, end quote. He said that it had a long neck that moved up and down in the manner of a, quote, scenic railway, end quote. It had an animal in its mouth, and it had a body that was, quote, fairly big with a high back, but if there were any feet, they must have been of the web kind. And as for a tail, I cannot say, as it moved so rapidly. And when we got to the spot, it had probably disappeared into the loch, end quote. So after the Courier publishes the article, this triggers like just a massive amount of public interest, and there were several more reported sightings of this creature. And by 1940, so about 7 years, the monster became known as Nessie. So the whole area was like just enthralled with the fact that this creature was there. Some are scared, obviously. Some can't, wait to see it. But they all knew it by the name Nessie. And so that's the origin story of how she came to be, or he came to be, whichever it is.
Right.
Now, one of the things that I found was kind of interesting is scientists have said, and I don't believe them, okay? Yeah. I'm gonna go on record as, the scientists actually tick me off more than anybody.
Oh, yeah.
They always have to have a reason, right? They say that this thing cannot be a plesiosaur because in all the pictures and the way this guy described it, its head comes up out of the water. And scientists say that a plesiosaur could not raise its head up out of the water. By the way the physicality of the beast was, it could not, its head would be too heavy for it to be able to raise its head up in that Brontosaurus style.
Yeah.
And that the plesiosaur, actually, its head was, straight out. It did have a 4 to 5 foot long neck, like this is being described.
Right.
But they say it didn't have the muscle structure in the neck to be able to move its neck in an upward fashion like that.
So they must have found one with muscle structure still intact.
Yeah,
so they could study it, right? Because that's the only logical explanation.
Right. And you know what? The whole thing ticks me off.
Yeah.
Honestly, because it's like, well, they've never seen one.
Right.
And when they come up with all this stuff, it's like anything else. It's like a telescope that can see 22 light years away or something. And it's like, please.
Yeah.
No way did man make, a piece of convex glass that can see literally trillions of miles away. I'm just a skeptic when it comes to science.
Or like carbon dating.
Carbon dating.
It's always funny to me how nonchalantly they are when they're like, this, we found whatever it is, and it's 200 million years old. Yeah. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, what a great find. And then, a year, 6 months, whatever down the road, they retest it and they're like, we actually found that it's 80 million years old.
Yeah. So we're only 120
but they're just so
million years off.
So nonchalant, like, oh yeah, just 120 million years, it's fine. It's like, okay, well, clearly your tests aren't accurate. So you guys are just talking out of your butt.
Right. And, I was going to kind of get into that a little bit later. We might as well just touch on it now.
Yeah.
The whole fact is that a plesiosaur, according to science, is an extinct marine reptile. They said it was a warm-blooded creature. It gave birth to its young. Most reptiles have eggs, right? But this particular one gave birth to its young, warm-blooded, breathed air, had to come up out of the water in order to breathe. And they say that the plesiosaur first appeared in the Triassic period, which was about 203, because let's get those 3 extra million years, right? 203 million years ago. This particular creature became more common during the Jurassic period, and then it disappeared at the end of the Cretaceous period, about 66 million years ago. So the whole point here about even getting into the plesiosaur is they say, well, okay, and I'm a skeptic right out of the chute because I don't believe, and, our listeners there's going to be many of them that would agree with me, and there's going to be many that say, oh, you're a complete imbecile for even thinking that, but I don't believe the world is that old. I think the Earth's been around probably 30 to 50,000 years or
Right.
somewhere in that nature. Biblically speaking, theologians have gone back, kind of traced time, kind of given us an idea of how long the Earth has been here. Science, of course, wants us to believe the Big Bang Theory. We crawled out of the ocean. Dinosaurs, ruled the Earth 200 million years ago. And I just don't believe that.
Yeah.
I don't know where I stand on dinosaurs. For a long time, I was thinking that I don't believe they're real. I don't believe they've ever actually come up with true DNA on a dinosaur bone because they're so old. They say that they can't extract the DNA from it. But so I don't know. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now on whether or not they exist. So I know, like biblically speaking, they talk about Leviathan and, the huge beasts, with the tails as long as timber and all that. So, yeah, those could be dinosaurs. Dragons might have existed, biblically speaking.
Right.
So, but what we're talking about here really is the time frame. Like, if there were dinosaurs, were they on Earth at the same time as man? Or do you actually believe that, they were here 66 million years before us?
Right.
So, that's up to your own belief, and you can believe what you want. But if they did exist, if a plesiosaur is a real animal, is it not possible that they still lived in the depths of some lakes and that's what it is?
Right.
Well, and then, of course, you can debunk that right off the bat by saying, well, this guy in the origin story said as it was walking across the road, it had an animal in its mouth. It was clearly taking an animal to eat, which would make it a carnivore, whereas a plesiosaur, according to man, was a herbivore. It only ate seaweed and, plants and vegetation. So that would mean that that's not a plesiosaur, potentially, unless they evolved into eating meat. Secondly, some of these lakes that we're talking about are man-made lakes.
Right.
And so it wasn't in there when we made it. How did it get in there? Right?
Right.
And so I don't know if you can, I don't think that we can debunk the fact that these things exist, because I believe they do. But I doubt that it's a plesiosaur based on what science says.
Right.
Now, in my opinion, science just comes up with theoretical crap with absolutely no fact to base it on, and they'll always say, well, we found fossils. Yeah, but did you put them together properly? Do you really know what that was? You named something that you found in a rock, and then you can tell us that it not only breathed air, but it gave birth. It was warm-blooded. You don't even know if it was in the water.
Yeah.
And if you believe in the Bible, the whole earth was flooded during Noah. So everything was underwater at one point, right?
Exactly.
So how do you know? I mean, I don't believe these people know any more than you and I do.
Right.
And they're just making stuff up.
Yeah.
And again, I know there's going to be people out there going, these people are nuts, because we grew up believing it, right?
Right.
The moon landing. There's another rabbit hole to go down. I watched it. I'm old enough. I watched that in school.
Yeah.
And then you look at all this stuff today, and you got all these people coming out saying, it never happened. We never went. Or the astronaut is saying that it was all fake.
Right.
And so I just don't believe we know what we can and can't believe anymore. We learned stuff growing up. We're brainwashed into believing it.
Yeah.
We looked at pictures of dinosaurs in books.
Yeah.
And so we bought into the whole theory. But, and this is where I just don't understand it, then something like Tessie and Nessie and Champ come along and we dismiss it. It's a hoax.
Right away.
It's all crap.
Yep. It's all made up.
We're going to believe that something exactly like that was on Earth 200 million years ago, well before man was ever here. But we can't believe it's here now. That's what irritates me.
And why can't it be like a chimp to an orangutan? Hypothetically, the chimp is the plesiosaur and the orangutan is Nessie.
Yeah.
It's something that looks similar, but it's two different.
It's just something different.
Why can't it be that?
Yeah. I don't know, but
too much.
It is too much in it. And like I say, it irritates me to the point where science needs to, if you're going to say something, just say this is a theory that
Right.
we have. There's absolutely no fact to it whatsoever.
Well, it's like the theory of evolution, but people state it as fact.
Right.
It's literally called the theory of evolution.
Yeah.
But they're like, no, that's how it happened.
Well, it's
so
like-
says the theory of evolution.
It's like all of them. Round globe, hurling through space at 660,000 miles an hour. Yet none of us are spinning off the globe. Oh, that's because gravitational pull. It can pull down the 50 quadrillion tons of the sea, but it doesn't crush us. So, I mean, you know what? You can, if you just open your mind for a second,
Yep.
put away all the things that we've been taught or told by our government, and just look at things from maybe a more rational standpoint instead of what we've been told. A lot of times these things will just you'll start thinking, is it really out of the realm that Bigfoot exists or dogmen? It could be spiritual. It could be alien. It could be a species we haven't located yet.
Exactly.
This is the same, right? There's pictures of it. There's so
Videos.
there's so much evidence that this thing exists, and yet they refuse to say it exists.
Yeah. Which doesn't make any sense.
No, and I can't take it. But with that, let's move into some notable sightings on Loch Ness.
And to be honest, we cherry pick these because there's hundreds of them. There's so many. We could be here for hours just on going over each individual sighting and picture and video. And like you said, two people driving down the road. Hey, I saw this. There's hundreds of those. So first one that we kind of took down was in 1888. A guy by the name of Alexander MacDonald of a town called, and I'm going to butcher it, but Abriacan, not sure how it's pronounced, but he cited what he quoted as saying, quote, a large stubby-legged animal, end quote, surfacing from the loch and propelling itself within about 50 yards of the shore where he was standing. So he ended up reporting that to Loch Ness's water bailiff, Alex Campbell, and he described the creature as looking like a salamander. So that's the reason why I threw this one in there, because I thought that was pretty interesting that he described it as looking like a salamander.
Right. So it's reptilian.
Exactly. Which would kind of...
Or amphibious.
Which they don't say that in the origin story, but to me that's kind of how it's described, as almost reptile-like. Slithering, inching its way across with those potentially little feet.
Right.
From across the road, but...
Well, in the origin, he was describing it as like the neck was moving.
Right.
And it was like lurching or lunging itself across. So,
because in my mind, I almost think of like a snake with its head up, kind of moving. Not the slither pattern, but that lunge.
Right.
So I don't know.
Yep.
But so that's the first one we took down. Then I got Arthur Grant in 1934. It was January 5th of 1934. He was on his motorcycle, and he claimed to have nearly hit a creature while approaching, again, same area or same town, Abriacan. How would you say that?
I think it's
Abrican. Some Scottish dude somewhere is just livid. He's like, you're butchering it.
Well, we don't live in Scotland, so,
And so this is near the northeastern end of the loch, and it was about 1 a.m., and the moon was out, so there was that, moonlight giving him a little bit of a view. And according to Grant, it had a small head attached to a long neck, and supposedly the creature saw him, and it crossed the road back into the loch. And Grant, who was actually a veterinary student at the time, described it as a cross between a seal and a plesiosaur. So he said he dismounted his bike and followed it over to the loch, but by the time he got there, he only saw ripples. He ends up drawing a sketch of it, or what he claimed to have seen, and it was examined by a zoologist, Maurice Burton, who stated it was consistent with the appearance and behavior of an otter.
Okay, yeah. So got these 25-foot otters running around.
With long necks.
With long
4-foot necks.
Yeah. Now, you know what? We have a lot of river otters here.
Yeah. You see them all the time.
You and I have been out fishing, and they swim on by.
Yeah.
Of course, they're kind of horrifying.
Yeah, because they could Probably rip your leg
Do
apart.
you remember they ripped that woman apart?
Yeah.
I don't want to get into it, but there was that poor woman that was tubing
Yeah.
down the Madison River, and it jumped up onto her tube and started ripping her face off. Like bit her ear off.
Yeah,
and
they're
stuff.
Violent.
It was horrifying.
Yeah. But apparently,
And she fought it for like 3 minutes or something.
and river otters, what are they? 3 feet?
Oh,
That's a huge one, right?
that'd be a big
That'd be a
one.
monster. They're normally not that big at all.
Yeah, they're usually pretty small.
So now we're just timesing that by 10, and this is what this guy supposedly saw. I'm not buying it. But anyway, what this guy's claiming, the zoologist, is essentially that because of the poor lighting conditions, it was just a case of misidentification.
Well, of course it was. Because it couldn't be
Right.
the Loch Ness Monster.
No.
Yeah.
And then, of course, a paleontologist came forward, Darren Naish, and he suggested that Grant obviously saw an otter or seal and exaggerating his story.
Okay.
So, again, just another, hey, you clearly were probably scared because it was dark, or you're over-exaggerating what happened.
And you were terrified of this otter.
Yeah.
It's just, it's too much for me sometimes.
And, I didn't look up, but is Loch Ness notorious for having seals swimming in it?
Yeah, I did not look that up. I know that they have eels in their water.
Which is significantly different than a seal, though.
Yeah. And I don't know.
Those freshwater seals are just running amok in Loch Ness, I guess.
Apparently they are.
All right, so moving forward, December of 1954, a fishing boat by the name of the Rival 3 got some sonar readings. Its crew noted a large object keeping pace with the vessel at a depth of 146 meters, which is roughly 479 feet. And it was detected for about 800 meters, which is about 2,600 feet, before contact was lost and regained. Previous sonar attempts were inconclusive or negative, is what the little noting said. So
I love these sonar ones.
that's why I added in, because I do too.
Yeah. I think that with the technology of sonar, it doesn't like show you an image.
Right.
Like a photograph kind of an image. You're not going to look down and go, oh, look, it's a largemouth bass.
Exactly.
You don't know, right? But these people, well, anybody on a fishing boat, they know how to read sonar.
Exactly.
They know
That's
how
the
to
thing.
read graphs. If it was floating algae or something, it's not going to, that algae's not going to float at the same pace as your boat for a half a mile.
2,600 feet, yeah.
It's just not going to do that.
Even if they're moving slow, it's not going to do that
and
for
a
that distance.
school of fish, schools tend to break up on your sonar a little bit. You can tell they're schools of fish.
Yeah.
That's like when you go out and you're looking for a school of crappie. You know what you're looking for.
Right.
It's not a great big creature.
In the shape of a monster.
In the shape of a plesiosaur under your boat. Sonar readings, I think, are valid.
Mm-hmm.
And yet they dismiss them.
Nothing.
Like it's nothing. And they always say, nope, it was just a school.
Because I didn't put it in because it irritated me even when I read it. But there was another one where that's what they did. They got, I don't remember the date and time because like I said, I didn't note it down. But some people out on a boat they were fishing. They got some sonar readings and it was a 15-foot thing. I want to say it was like at a 100-foot depth, give or take. And it stayed with their boat for a little bit and then went away. Not for as long as the one I just read, but they were written off as it being either a group of photoplankton or algae.
Yeah.
And it's just, how? In the shape of a dinosaur.
People never cease to amaze me that they can't just believe what they're being told.
Right.
I mean, like I said, we do this every episode and people are probably getting sick of it, but I just don't understand why people can't ever be believed.
I don't get it.
We have to write it off as something else. And then it's always something stupid too. It's like, oh, you saw a beaver. It's like, oh, God.
Or the guy who's trained to become a veterinarian.
Yeah.
I mean, he's studying animals all day.
Yeah. And captains on fishing boats that are out there every day.
Yeah.
Fishing and reading their... Nope, they're idiots.
You're wrong.
They don't know what it is. It's a beaver.
Yep.
It's an otter. Lose my mind over this stuff.
All right, so moving forward, we got the Dinsdale film of 1960. This one was pretty interesting to me. So this guy, Tim Dinsdale, he's an aeronautical engineer at the time. He actually filmed what he believed to be a dark hump that left a big wake crossing across Loch Ness. And this was on April 23rd of 1960. So he reportedly had a sighting on his final day of his search. He described it as being mahogany red with a large blotch on its side when he was looking at it through his binoculars. So then he said when he hopped on his camera, the object started to move. And he shot, of course, it was back in the 60s, so he shot 40 feet worth of film. I don't know if he passed it off or his team did. I don't know what he was out there for researching, but according to Joint Air Reconnaissance Intelligence Center, or JARIC, they published a 1966 report analyzing the film. They said the object was, quote, probably animate, end quote, which of course means that
it's moving.
It's something that's moving and potentially alive. So after the film, Dinsdale continued to pursue finding the Loch Ness Monster, but while he claimed to have had additional sightings, he was never able to get any more evidence, whether it was photographic or video.
So is this the guy that actually quit his job, quit his career because he was so convinced it was there he wanted to go find it?
Yeah, and apparently he was a prominent aeronautical engineer, and he was so convinced that what he saw was this lake monster that he essentially gave up his career and went on some crazy long search for the rest of his life, never being able to prove anything else. And then, of course, you have people, after he had passed, who essentially discredited him. It was clearly a mistaken identity. Some people said it was a boat that he saw, which I watched the video. It's moving. It's clearly an underwater boat in Loch Ness in the 1960s. I didn't think they were doing that back then.
Well, apparently they were, according to other people.
Yeah, right? And it just ridiculous. So in 93, Discovery Communications put out a documentary. It was called Loch Ness Discovered, and it had a digital enhancement of the Dinsdale film. And then a person who enhanced the film noticed a shadow when he was reviewing it in the negative of the film that was not obvious when the film was being developed. And by enhancing and overlaying the frames, he found what appeared to be the rear body of what he said was a creature underwater. And so, quote him here, quote, "Before I saw the film, I thought the Loch Ness Monster was a load of rubbish. Having done the enhancement, I'm not so sure," end quote. So this guy, who's a professional videographer,
believes that what he got on film was real.
Yeah. And then after that, that's when people started saying, no, what you're seeing is a boat somehow moving underwater. Yeah. Just ridiculous.
It is unbelievable.
And so next one we got is Holmes, the Holmes video of 2007. So May 26th of 2007, 55-year-old laboratory technician Gordon Holmes, he videotaped what he said was, quote, this jet black thing about 14 meters, which is 46 feet long, moving fairly fast in the water, end quote. Loch Ness Monster watchers described it as, they're putting it as some of the best footage they've ever seen. Then, of course, people discredit him after that because, of course, that's what you have to do. Adrian Shine, a marine biologist at the Loch Ness 2000 Center in, I'm going to butcher this, Drumnadrochit? How would you say that word?
Drumnadrochit.
All right, well, there we go. Suggested that the footage was an otter, seal, or water bird.
Well, there it is.
I watched this video. It's clearly like a 40 to 50 foot long black mass. It never comes out of water, and it's moving at a pretty good clip. I'm not a marine biologist, but last I checked, there's no 50-foot otters or seals.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm just guessing.
Apparently, they get pretty good size in Loch Ness.
Again, I know we keep saying it and we say it at the time. It just baffles me how people can't accept that it's, at least come out and say, I don't know what that is.
Don't know what it is. See, how hard is that?
Because
That's all I want to know. How hard is that?
You discredit yourself as a marine biologist if you can't admit that you don't know what it is, because you're claiming that it's a 50-foot otter.
Yeah.
Even if it's 40 feet.
A long-necked, web-footed, 50-foot otter or beaver or seal. Yeah. Wow.
I guess all the otters and seals I've seen are a little different, but.
Yeah, same.
And then next one we actually watched together. This was September of 2021. So I put this one in there because it was a more recent sighting. It's a drone footage. It's reported about 20 feet long creature captured on a live stream near the loch. Now, I don't know what they were getting footage of, if they were just, a lot of people take drones out just to photograph the area. But
yeah, they were probably just it was like the waves crashing on the shore.
Yeah. When you, in the video, it kind of slows it down and you can zoom in. It looks like it would be the shape of the Loch Ness. You get the long neck, the body, neck. Looks like what legs or flippers are sticking out, but it's not moving whatsoever. So that one I don't know about. What's your thoughts on that one?
It looked good enough to me, honestly, that I think that it was worth mentioning that if somebody was to look that up and you see it in the water, 1 minute it looked like maybe just a rock or something that the water was going around. And then you see the big body behind it and the stretched out neck towards the shoreline. I don't know.
It's hard to say.
Because
it's not a long clip either.
I wouldn't rule it out as being something, but it's not definitive that it is something.
Right. Because, I've watched, how long would you say the video is? 5 to 7 seconds?
Yeah, it wasn't long. Yeah.
I've watched fish for that long just sit there.
Yeah.
They might be moving a little bit.
And if this thing's a big creature, it could have been, literally it could have been in like a spawning bed or something eating, fish eggs or anything, and it wouldn't be moving. It would stay there.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that it was good enough to mention that if anybody was to look at it, they'd look at it and say, and you'll make up your own mind. You'll go, no, it's a rock and it's just, that's nothing.
It's a log that just is shaped like it.
Or if you really watch it when it's zoomed in, you do see that big.
Yeah.
It looks very much like a plesiosaur.
Yep.
This is the way I saw it. And then, getting into like Champ and Raystown, those photos were good enough that we're going to throw those ones on our Instagram too.
Yeah.
In 1977, Sandra Mancy took a photo while she was on vacation with her kids and whatnot, and she got a picture of Champ. And if you can look at that and say that's a log, a seal, an otter, whatever you can come up with.
Right.
I'm going to challenge anybody on that one.
Yeah.
That thing looks literally like the long neck or a brontosaurus.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like in the water. And then the Raystown Ray,
that
2006 photo,
yeah.
To me, that's the best photo you see.
Yep.
You got the humps going down the back. You can see that it's an extremely long creature. The head is up out of the water as it's cruising through the water. And that's the coolest photo ever.
Yeah.
And I know some jerkwad's going to say, it's a tree.
Yeah.
Well, no, it's not.
Yeah. Just say you don't know what it is if you don't want to admit it.
Yeah.
If you don't want to look like, because I think people think, like we've said before, they think they're going to look like a nut if they're like, yep, it's a lake monster. It's a sea monster.
Well, I'd rather be a nut and be reasonable, than, oh no, that's a 25-foot long beaver.
Yeah.
Then now you're the idiot.
That's your 50-foot seal right there.
Oh, Lord. Well, and that's just really touching, just barely touching the tip of the iceberg on sightings.
Oh, it's
for just the Loch Ness.
Yep.
If we got into all the other ones that I mentioned and then do a little more research and get the names of other creatures in other areas, we've been from China to Scotland to the U.S.
Yep.
These things are everywhere.
They're everywhere.
They're in big lakes. They're spotted. They're filmed. They're there. I don't care what anybody says.
Yeah.
They're there. As usual, people just don't believe in Nessie or the other lake monsters, and they don't believe they actually exist, so they have to explain it away, right?
Yep.
And these are some of the things that I found on misidentification of known animals, inanimate objects, reinterpretations of Scottish folklore. That one's just so stupid.
It's just a slap in the face is what it is.
It is a slap in the face. I just can't even imagine. And, going back to the guy that quit his job to go search for this thing.
Yeah.
Honestly, if you saw, I don't care what it is. Who cares what it is, right? Let's just say Dog Man. You're looking out my window of my house.
Yeah.
Out onto that back portion of the property, and you saw what you 100% believed in your heart was Dog Man. And let's say he snarled at you and he yelled something at you. And it's just unmistakable, right? You know it's him. I'd quit my job too.
Yeah.
And go on a hunt to make sure that I got photographic evidence of it. I would want people to believe what I just saw.
And I'm not.
And so I understand it.
Yeah. I'm not saying the guy, everybody could be a nut, right?
Yeah.
You know, but we're talking about an aeronautical engineer.
Yeah.
There has to be some form of intelligence there.
Just a little.
And I would assume with that level of intelligence, he knows the difference between a potential, I'll just say lake monster, and a boat.
Yeah. Well, according to scientists, he doesn't.
He doesn't. He's an idiot,
He's an
clearly.
idiot. Well, so let's get into some of these misidentifications. And this is...
By the way, if I saw a dogman out there, I would sprint to my death just trying to get a picture with him or something. Yep.
I'd do everything I could
Yeah.
to become one,
Yeah.
See if he'll bite me.
Yeah.
So anyway, so this is some of the misidentifications on the Loch Ness Monster. So wrap your head around this.
Yeah, here we go.
When I'm saying this. An eel, okay? People are saying that it was just an unusually large eel.
Yep. Running across the road with
running
feet.
across the road with carrying an animal in its mouth.
Yep.
Drops down into the lake and swims away.
Typical eel behavior.
It was an eel, yeah. So I did a little skosh of research. There are eels in Loch Ness,
Perfect.
freshwater eels. Now, I mean, I don't know that they're 25-foot long, eels with
That breach
a
the
neck
water with
that
a
has-
brontosaurus neck, yeah.
Yeah. I don't know that they get that big in there, but get this one now. In 2018 and 2019, and the reason that I'm going over this is this literally debunks everything else, okay? So, and they're trying to debunk the Loch Ness Monster, but what they're actually doing is proving it to me,
Yeah.
okay? So in 2018, 2019, scientists from New Zealand, they conducted this huge project. They went out to Loch Ness. I don't know how this is possible, but this is what it says.
Because it's not, but continue.
It's not, right. Yeah. They conducted a DNA test on every organism in Loch Ness.
Not possible. In a year
I
they
don't
did
be-
it?
I don't believe it
Nope.
at all. There's no way that happened, but they claim they did.
Yep.
And guess what they found?
Let's hear it.
They found that there were no large animals in the lake, and they got specific and said no large animals such as Greenland sharks, catfish, plesiosaurs in the lake, period.
Perfect.
Those animals do not exist in that lake.
So it can't be misidentification then.
So then let's go down the list of misidentification. We have the Greenland shark.
Oh, there you go.
Well, it could be a Greenland shark because they get up to 20 feet long. They inhabit the North Atlantic around Greenland, Iceland, Norway, and possibly, even though they haven't actually been sighted there, possibly Scotland. So it has to be a Greenland shark, right? Even though scientists say there's no Greenland sharks in Loch Ness. They also said there was no catfish. But guess what? They believe it could be an unusually large catfish that has been somehow misidentified as the Loch Ness Monster.
And this is why, going back to what you said earlier, this is why I don't trust the stuff that they throw out there as fact.
You can't because it's all contradictory.
Yeah.
1 minute they're trying to prove that there's no large animals. That Loch Ness Monster cannot exist because these aren't there. And then scientists turn around and say, well, that was a Greenland shark that they saw. Well, they just proved that they weren't in Loch Ness. So it's a cryptid too, basically,
exactly.
at this point. So anyway, I love this one because somebody has come up with the idea that what they really saw was an elephant.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're pretty notorious around Scotland.
They are. So even though there are no elephants in Loch Ness or in the area of Scotland, it is possible that a traveling circus allowed their elephants to bathe in the lake, and that's what people saw.
Yep, there it is.
There it is.
Just like the one that got out in that traveling circus this year.
Yeah,
it was running around
through
Butte. Yeah,
yeah,
same exact thing.
Trampling stuff, and then you and your son rode it.
Yep, rode that same one.
Yeah.
There it is.
Any other animal? Sure. Birds. Those are birds.
25-foot birds.
They're otters.
Swimming in the...
They're beavers. And so this creature that everybody has said is anywhere between 15 and 100 feet long, looks like a brontosaurus. It's just a beaver. Because how do you...
How stupid as a scientist can you make yourself look if you're like, there's no way it could be this. It's probably that 25-foot beaver.
Yeah. I just don't understand
It doesn't make sense.
No. People have lost
And how many
their
traveling
minds.
circuses are going through that
Yeah.
over 100 years, people are saying...
from the 7th century,
hundreds
the
of
traveling
years.
circus has been bathing
Yep.
their elephants out there in the lake, and people, that's all they're seeing.
Yep. The bathing elephants.
Bathing elephants. So then they say that there's other explanations, such as inanimate objects, boat wakes and trees, wind conditions like choppy water. Yeah. Choppy water has a neck that comes up out of it with humps.
Yep.
No, I'm sorry, but
well, you're not a scientist, so that's why you
true.
don't know.
And and then you get into seismic gases. There's a volcanic eruption, and a gas comes up, and boom, forms a plesiosaur right there on the surface of the lake.
Unbelievable.
Moving along, 20 knots and following boats.
Yep.
It's just seismic gases.
It's clearly seismic gases.
There's folklore, and of course, there's hoaxes. Now, hoaxes I'll buy into.
100%, because we got some.
We know that people do stupid things, right? And it irritates us, but hey, they're people, and they're going to do it. And every cryptid has probably had a hoax of some kind. But these pictures of the Raystown Ray and whatnot,
no,
those aren't hoaxes. They're shooting this stuff from, hundreds of feet away, too.
And you're telling me Sandra Mancy in 1977 was like, you know what we should do on vacation, guys? Let's fake like a lake monster is over here, and let's take a picture of it.
Exactly.
I doubt it. I just doubt it.
Probably not.
But I'm not a scientist, so I guess.
So here's some possibilities. The possibilities are as ridiculous as the explanations that, where they're just trying to, it could be a beaver, right? So here's the possibility. Science has said that it is possible that it is a long-necked newt. Okay. So I thought, wow. It does kind of look like a salamander, which it is described as that.
Yep.
So I looked up the long-necked newt, and they get up to 6 inches long.
There it is.
And it's like, okay, somehow, maybe this one was in Chernobyl or something, and it, mutated into a 25-footer and then swam its way all the way over to Loch Ness. I don't know, but long-necked newt. There it is. That's one explanation. Another great one is just a large invertebrate, similar to like the bristle worm.
Yeah. So you're probably thinking, if you don't know what that is, you're probably thinking it's got to be like the Mongolian death worm.
It's got to be a Mongolian death worm.
Yeah, of size at least.
Of course, they're normally 1 to 6 inches long.
Can you imagine being the guy
size of a bristle worm
that said, this thing was like 15 feet long. It got within 50 yards of me. And they're like, you drunk? No, it's not. It's clearly a bristle worm.
It's a bristle worm.
It was only 6 inches big. And
now,
you're an idiot.
I think that there is one species of bristle worm that they said can get up to 9 feet long, which,
there we go.
That's pretty cool. But have you seen a bristle worm? It doesn't look anything like a brontosaurus or a plesiosaur.
Yeah.
So it's not a bristle worm. I'm sorry. But anyway, there you have it. It's an elephant. It's a shark. It's a catfish. It's an eel. It's a worm.
Long-necked newt.
It's a long-necked newt. Yep. It's one of those. It's not what everybody saw.
Yeah, and it's taken photos of and videos of. And
now, just briefly, I'm gonna say this, and I'll go out on record, and I'll be the nut. A long time ago. Well, no, not a long time ago, just a couple of years ago. I mean,
it wasn't that long ago at all.
It seems like a long time for me, but it was probably 2021 or 2022. Took my boat out, and I had Grace, my niece, my granddaughter, and my wife, Jamie, with me. And we went out for a beautiful day of boating, and I figured, I'll do a little fishing while I'm out there. And the girls wanted to jump in the lake. Well, we were at Hebgen Lake. And Hebgen Lake, for anybody who doesn't know, is up by West Yellowstone. And
gorgeous.
It's off the Madison Arm. It's a beautiful lake, right? So we're boating around, and I decided to stop and fish in one spot. The girls were it was a nice summer day. They were getting hot, so they all wanted to jump in the water. So they jump in the water, they're swimming around, they cool off, they get back on the boat. And I think it was Grace initially who yelled, "What is that?" And so I look over in the water and there's this V being cut in the water. Well, that otters do that, fish do that. Anything does that, right? Anything that's under the surface of the water and barely breaking the surface.
When I reel in a fishing line, it does that.
Yeah, it's going to cut a little V. And so I'm watching the V when all of a sudden up comes about 5 humps, literally, in line with each other. They all break the surface of the water. Never saw a head, just the back. They all break the surface of the water and they submerge and they go away. All I could think of was, holy smokes, we've got Loch Ness here.
Yeah.
Or Tessie or Champ or whoever it is. It's in Hebgen Lake as well. The girls were literally so terrified by it, they wouldn't go back in the water. They talked about it all day, kept asking me what it is. And I'm like, I don't know. Well, okay, so here's the deal. It was one of these, I'm pretty sure, right? It was serpent-like. It was huge. We don't have seals in Hebgen Lake. We do have beavers. They don't typically swim in line with one another like that because we've seen a lot of beavers. Remember, we were almost attacked by one.
Yeah, that was horrifying.
When we were out fly fishing, it was coming after us and we had to get out of the water. But I have no idea what species it would be. If you were to look up through FWP and look up the species of fish in that lake, there's nothing that big. So if somebody says, well, it was probably just a sturgeon, I don't believe there's sturgeon in Hebgen. I could be wrong, but I don't believe so. But that's not what this was. I've seen sturgeon and paddlefish and all the big fish that we have here in Montana.
Right.
It wasn't any of those. This thing was serpent-like. Like it literally looked dragony. But there it is.
Yeah.
I saw one. I'm a nut, apparently, because it was clearly just
the long neck.
It was an elephant or something that was bathing.
Yep.
But I 100% believe these exist. I know that my family believes that these things exist, except possibly my wife, who's quite the skeptic.
Yeah.
But if you were to ask Grace,
who's a doctor for you naysayers out there?
That's right, Dr. Grace.
Yeah.
She would tell you that 100% she saw it. It's real. And so I believe that they exist. I don't believe it's misidentification or I just can't tell a bathing elephant from,
that's got to be what it is.
A serpent of some kind. And clearly I need to check myself into an institution.
If a scientist can say that a beaver can be 25 foot long, then I feel like a avid fisherman could identify what you saw.
You would think so.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you don't know what it is, it's probably something different.
It's got to be something different, and it's something that we don't know about.
Right.
Or we do know about it, and they just hide it, and that's why they come up with these crazy explanations.
Right, because they're a bunch of jackwagons.
Yeah. Exactly. Well, anyway, you know what? As we have said in every episode to this point, and I am going to put money on that we say in every episode from this day forward.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
I believe in these.
Oh, yeah.
I totally believe in cryptids. There's too many people see them. There's too much evidence to support the fact that they're there. What they are, I don't know. I don't know what realm they come from or what their purpose is or anything else, but I believe they exist. And when it comes to Bigfoot, which has been on my property, right?
Yep.
Chupacabra, who you've seen.
Yeah.
I saw a lake monster of some sort, whatever it was. We're going to go hunt the Dogman one of these days.
It's going to happen, yep.
It's going to happen, and we got to see it.
Hopefully we'll come back, Dogman.
Yeah. Well. Right. There's no doubt in my mind that they all exist.
Right.
So for you naysayers out there, tune out. Don't even listen if you don't want to believe in it. I believe in it only because I've been a witness to some of it, and the people that have seen these things, in my book, they're totally credible.
Yeah.
But anyway, That's it. That's all we've got on. Well, it's actually not all we've got. It's just
there's
we're
so
out
much
of
more.
time.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about when it comes to these aquatic type monsters, because I think when you get into the realm of oceanic lakes, whatever, 749 feet deep lakes that go for miles and miles, those are pretty much unexplored.
Well, except for the one where they got all the DNA tested.
Well,
besides that one,
when
of course.
every microorganism has been tested, then, I guess we should clear that lake and say it can't be there because they did all these tests. But anyway, that's all we've got. Unless you have anything else, Jake?
No, I'm getting sick of scientists.
Yeah, so. I can't take
that's
people
about all I got
that have to explain everything.
And not to keep going and just too much, but it's always funny too, where the claim is like, well, I'm a scientist, so I would know these things.
Yeah.
But if another scientist says this, like agrees with us, they're like, well, that scientist is a quack.
Yeah.
Well, why aren't you the quack?
Right. Yeah.
And it ticks me off, and I had to throw that out there.
Yeah, exactly. And the whole fact that they profess to know everything when they know nothing.
Right.
Theory is just that. It's theory. I can come up with a theory right now if I wanted to.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And it isn't proven, so therefore it remains a theory.
Exactly.
When you prove something to me, then I'll listen to you.
Right.
But if it's theoretical, I don't want to hear it because you're an idiot. All right. So that's it. Next week, or actually 2 weeks. I say next week every time.
Yep.
2 weeks from now, we will be talking about the vampire beast of Bladenboro.
Which I'm excited about.
Me too.
Yeah.
You know what? The people in North Carolina, I don't think this has been seen for a while.
Thank goodness.
What a terrifying thing that was for them. Anyway, so be good and tune in 2 weeks and listen to the story of the vampire.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the show and you want to help us out, then go ahead and give us a follow, leave us a review, and don't forget to turn on the automatic download button so you don't miss any upcoming episodes. And as always, if you've had any experiences, stories, thoughts, comments, or questions, we'd love to hear from you. Send us an email to cryptidfanatic@gmail.com. Let us know if you'd like to be on the show or just have your story featured during one of our episodes.